questions about myself. You said you wanted to know more about how I make trouble for Mrs. Warren, and I can give you a perfect example. We can go along, she and I'll think we're right like two peas in a pod, and then I find out I just can't go along with her way of thinking at all. Like she is always saying education is important, and it isn't that I disagree with that. No, ma'am. I know education is important. Mrs. Warren says equal education is the way out of poverty and the answer to prejudice. So writing well and reading well are crucial. I don't disagree with that. I read and write well. I've worked hard to learn those things. Sometimes I trip up and say, ain't. But I really see what Mrs. Warren says about how sounding educated is the language of money, the language of getting ahead. Still, Mrs. Warren won't bend at all. For instance, she only considers you a good writer if you stick with her topics. Topics like heroes and good solid role models, such as Frederick Douglass, George Washington Carver, and Rosa Parks. Not a dog. See, she told us to write about who we most admire. Most of the kids wrote about grandmothers or mothers, uncles or dads. Brenda Stevens wrote about Rosa Parks, and Brenda Stevens doesn't even like Rosa Parks because she had to sit in church an extra hour one time listening to a lady who had met her. And Chester Whitehouse wrote 6 pages on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everybody knows Mrs. Warren thinks the sun rises and sets with Dr. King. She read his letter from Birmingham jail 3 times to us in 1 week, and then she said, "His voice rings out in my ears, in my soul, and in the future of this nation." It's no wonder Chester was teacher's pet for a flat-out month. I didn't write about any of those folks, though. I wrote about Shag. Shag is white and black, like all border collies. She has weepy eyes. I wonder sometimes if she's sad, but I think she doesn't cry so much as her eyes just leak a little. Anyway, I hope so. I've done some checking on border collies, because my daddy didn't really know what kind of dog Shag was when we found her wandering near our back 10 acres. I went to the library Miss Ann Spencer has for black folks and looked in the Encyclopedia Britannica, which has just about everything you would ever want to know. I was looking at pictures and trying to figure out about Shag, but Miss Ann Spencer knows a lot. She is a real poet, after all, got her stuff in books, and she's a librarian to boot. So when I described Shag, she said, "A border collie, most likely." And snap, there you have it. She flipped to border collies, and sure enough, she was right. I discovered border collies are a registered breed in Scotland. People have been bringing them to the United States for a while, but not much at all in these parts. I have the only one around here, far as I know. I feed her every day. Shag likes her scraps. But the most important thing for Shag is to work. That's the way border collies are. She brings in the cattle for milking every day, crouching low and nipping at their heels. I think if she didn't get to do this, she really would cry. As a breed, border collies are pig-headed, and I'm guessing that's why Shag was wandering. Lots of folks dump their dogs in the country, and I reckon Shag wasn't good at doing what she didn't want, so she got dumped. Daddy says she is a working dog, and as long as she's working, she's happy and obeys. She will obey me, no matter what, so that's why my daddy says she's mine. The only thing she doesn't obey me on is sleeping in my room. I've always wanted a dog who will sleep on the hook rug next to my bed. As I tucked in on those first nights, I'd tell her, "Stay." But night after night, she'd go out and sleep beside our mule, Zero. After I fell asleep, she'd slip out of my room and go to the front door and stand there staring with her deep chocolate eyes until one of my parents would let her out. My daddy finally said, "Kizzy Ann, face it, she's just not comfortable in the house. She's a working dog, not a house pet." But she is mine, and except for that one thing, she always obeys me. Always. So, anyway, she is a hard worker on a farm that needs hard